Working late-night shifts at a fast food restaurant might seem boring, but for some employees, it turns into something far more terrifying. From eerie whispers in empty kitchens to shadowy figures lurking in the drive-thru, some experiences defy explanation. Tonight, you'll hear real stories from former Burger King workers who encountered things they can't explain, things that made them question reality. Turn off the lights, put on your headphones, and get ready for 3 unsettling tales of the unknown. Welcome to tonight's video. Story 1, The Closing Shift Haunting. My name is hese. I worked at a Burger King in a small town, the kind of place where nothing much happens, at least, that's what I thought. My shift was the late-night closing shift, which meant I spent a lot of time alone, locking up after the last customers left. One night, after cleaning up the kitchen and shutting down the fryers, I heard something strange coming from the dining area. It sounded like footsteps, slow, deliberate. The restaurant was empty. The doors were locked. I turned off the music hours ago. I walked out of the kitchen and into the dining area, expecting to see a coworker who had stayed behind. But there was no one there. Then, the soda machine dispensed a drink on its own. I froze. The machine required a button to be pressed to release anything, but I had been alone for at least 30 minutes. I walked over, thinking it was a mechanical glitch, but the moment I stepped closer, every single menu screen flickered off and back on. The entire restaurant went dead silent, no hum of the coolers, no distant sounds from the kitchen. Just silence. And then, I heard it, a whisper. Right next to me. Get out. I didn't hesitate. I grabbed my things, left the cleaning unfinished, and ran out the door. I told my manager the next day, but he just laughed and said, "Oh yeah, this place is haunted. Didn't anyone tell you?" Apparently, a former employee had passed away in the building years ago. Since then, people had reported strange noises, items moving, and even hearing voices when they were alone. I never stayed late alone again after that. Story 2, The Drive-Thru Shadow. My name is hese. If you've ever worked the drive-thru at a fast food place, you know how repetitive it can be. But at our Burger King, there was something else, something that made the night shifts unbearable. It started with small things. The headsets picking up static when no one was at the speaker, the feeling of being watched when no customers were in line. But then, it got worse. One night, I was alone at the window. It was late, almost 2 a.m., and no cars had come through for a while. I was half asleep, staring at the empty parking lot, when suddenly, the drive-thru sensor beeped. A car had pulled up. I straightened up and turned to the screen to take the order. "Welcome to Burger King, how can I help you?" Silence. I waited a few seconds. Nothing. Thinking it was a mistake, I leaned over to look outside. There was no car. I shook my head, assuming it was a glitch, but just as I turned away, something caught my eye in the security monitor. A shadowy figure stood near the speaker box. It wasn't a customer. It wasn't even shaped like a person, it was tall, thin, and almost translucent. Then, it moved. I turned back to the window, but nothing was there. I checked the cameras again, and the figure was gone. I didn't last much longer at that job. Other employees mentioned seeing the shadow near the drive-thru, especially late at night. Some even said they heard whispers through the headsets. Whatever it wasn't just my imagination. Story 3, The Freezer Incident. My name is hese. Every Burger King employee dreads the freezer. It's cold, it's dark, and sometimes, the heavy door sticks when you try to get out. But one night, I realized there was something far worse about it. It was a slow shift, and my manager asked me to restock the freezer. I grabbed a jacket and went inside. The moment I stepped in, I felt uneasy. The air seemed heavier than usual, and the overhead light flickered slightly. I tried to ignore it and focused on stacking boxes of frozen fries and burger patties. Then, the door slammed shut. I jumped, my breath visible in the freezing air. I turned back and pushed the door, but it wouldn't budge. Panic started creeping in. "Hey! Someone open the door!" I shouted, banging on it. Then, I heard something move behind me. It sounded like shuffling, like feet dragging across the icy floor. I turned around, expecting to see a coworker who had somehow gotten locked in with me. But the freezer was empty. The boxes I had stacked were knocked over, scattered across the floor. My heart pounded. I pressed my back against the door, my breath coming in short gasps. Then, from the very back of the freezer, I heard it. A long, slow exhale. I wasn't alone. I started slamming my fists against the door, screaming for someone to let me out. Suddenly, the light flickered one last time, and the door swung open on its own. I stumbled out, gasping for breath, and nearly ran into my manager. "What the hell happened?" he asked. I couldn't even speak. From then on, I refused to go into the freezer alone. And to this day, I swear, something was in there with me that night. These are just some of the stories from people who have worked long nights at Burger King, encountering things that should not be there. If you've ever had a similar experience while working late, you are not alone. Some places hold on to something that doesn't leave, even when the shift is over. Sometimes, the scariest things don't happen in abandoned buildings or deep in the woods. They happen in the places we least expect, in the middle of a normal work shift. These stories remind us that some places hold on to something that lingers long after closing time. If you've ever had a strange or terrifying experience while working late, let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed these stories, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay safe.